All right, welcome back to CTV News Channel. Prime Minister Mark Carney getting ready to head to Europe today. His plane is just taking off from the airport in Ottawa, as I can see on our cameras here. The Prime Minister will be in the United Kingdom for more trade talks with the British. But Mark Carney will also be meeting with leaders of Australia, Spain, Denmark, Iceland. There he is with Keir Starmer on an earlier visit at 10 Downing Street. The idea here is to find new friends and also to deepen trade ties with the friends we have. Donald Trump's trade war on our country has really scrambled the economic math, and Canada needs new friends, allies, trading partners. And it's going to be a long road, by the way, so brace yourself as we rewire our trading relationships. But obviously the Europeans, British, Australians are good options. Carney will be in the UK from Thursday until Sunday. He'll also be there for a pivotal moment on Canadian sport. Canada takes on England in women's rugby on Saturday. And Carney earlier today was meeting with the leader of Ireland as well. All right, Tom Mulcair is standing by, CTV News political commentator, former leader of the NDP. Tom, good to see you. Thanks for your time.
Great to be with you, Todd.
Obviously, for Mark Carney, he is no stranger to the UK. He was the governor of the Bank of England for many years. Friendly turf here. We're seeing, and you're familiar with the European relationship with Canada as well, the idea that we've got to look elsewhere because the U.S. arguably has gone rogue on us.
Exactly. And no matter what else happens in the future, Carney is spot on when he says it's never going to get back to what it was. And so that's something that the Americans are going to take some time to understand and to deal with because they have ruffled feathers around the world. And now all those birds with ruffled feathers are getting together and migrating to the same place, in this case, London, to talk. To say, okay, what's the future of the trading world? What are the rules going to be for international commerce? Who are our allies in terms of progressive politics? Because the people coming together today tended to be those representing more left-leaning, not necessarily left-wing, but left-leaning, more progressive. And they're going to be talking amongst themselves, and they're going to be reaching out to other like-minded people. And Europe, of course, is a great place to start because there's a huge economy there. And the Americans are just going to understand eventually that not only have they hurt others, but they've hurt themselves. So for now, the best move that Carney can be doing is to have this type of meeting, make the future one where the world trades on an even keel with clear rules that everyone respects, and you don't go through the type of upheaval that Donald Trump and his government have been imposing on the rest of the world.
I mean, smart strategy. You hedge your bets here. What's the timeline, though, realistically? You know, if you're trying to, reimagine, rewire, rework all these trade relationships, I mean, our primary trading partner, basically for our entire history has been the United States. So now what?
Well, Canada is in a unique position. We're part of NATO. We have an unbelievable deal with the European Union. We are part of a huge trade deal in the Asia Pacific. Because we front on both oceans, we're a relatively small country in terms of population, but we're blessed with massive resources. That's one of the selling points for Carney. It's not going to take us very long to figure out that we don't have to keep pumping at a discount so much of our raw natural resources, not just petroleum, but others, to the United States to be transformed there. We can transform more ourselves, and we can certainly build up those trading relationships and use our strongest suit, which is, of course, natural resources, to our best advantage. We've also got an economy that works quite well in terms of manufacturing, although that's taking a very strong body punch from the American tariffs, and it could get worse as we try to renegotiate the Canada-U.S. Mexico trade deal. That's why it's wise for Prime Minister Carney to be spending so much of his time talking to our partners, because we have one south of the border that has a man who stands up at the United Nations and just goes through a lunatic rant for almost an hour that is totally disconnected, and then wants to have, of course, a very serious investigation into what happened to the escalator. This is the world of Donald Trump. And we're going to be living in the real world and talking to real partners about what we can do to make the economy grow for everybody, not just for the Americans under Donald Trump.
Yeah, what do you think the view is on the European side of the Atlantic, Tom, when it comes to Canada?
Well, we know that Canada has a strong manufacturing base. You and I know that Canada has a huge service sector. This is one of the strongest parts of our economy. Europeans and others in the world tend to see us mostly as a place that can be a breadbasket because we have lots of agricultural produce that we can export, and as a place where we have lots of raw natural resources that they can process and make money on. We've got to try to work on both of those things at the same time, making sure that we continue to have those markets, Those have been hard hit, for example, by the canola tariffs from China because they're upset about an incongruous decision by Canada to essentially put a 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles. So all that's on the table because we're talking today amongst ourselves with other like-minded, more progressive countries. China is anything but in terms of human rights and otherwise, but it's also an economic powerhouse, and it can help leverage us away from the Americans. But we've got to understand, we've got to bring something to the table. We can't just ask the Chinese and continue, for example, to maintain this essentially what is a ban on Chinese automobiles, Chinese electric cars in any event.
One final question about the upcoming budget, and we got this report from the parliamentary budget officer saying that the deficit is going to increase pretty dramatically by about $17 billion amid fears that Canada is already potentially, Tom, in a recession. Your thoughts on the takeaway there? What does it mean? Does it make sense?
Well, I'm just going to give you a very quick word on the parliamentary budget officer himself. His mandate has to be renewed. The Conservatives are asking for a full 7-year mandate. The Liberals have to understand that the parliamentary budget officer belongs to Parliament, not to the Liberal government, even though it's the government that makes the nomination, the appointment. So I think that that's something that has to be clarified very quickly. But talk about showing why you're there. Explaining by an objective look at the books why we're going to be approaching a $70 billion deficit. Might even be more than that. And I think the Canadians have a right to know that. Governments are always in the business of trying to hide bad news. Parliamentary budget officer, and I was there when it was created, parliamentary budget officer has as its main function to lift the fog, to let Canadians know what's going on, and to let parliamentarians know how much money is really being spent and how large the deficit or other sets of books are. I think that has to be borne in mind by all Canadians. The Conservatives are spot on in calling for a full appointment for the parliamentary budget officer.
Good to see you, Tom. Thank you.
Good to be with you, Todd. All the best.
CTV News political commentator Tom Mulcair, former leader of the NDP.